Welcome to One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer post World Series edition. As you can see, JJ Jackson is back um, with Scott Boras as an agent. All of his legal terms. Not only is he back with his job, he negotiated a new contract, 7 figures. He's got the sponsorship from Diet Mountain Dew. I just don't know how you did it, but I hope you did learn your lesson. I hope you put those negative thoughts, those dirty words, all that garbage behind you, and you're ready to be a serious co-host.
I am. I tell you what, I was up for the Kathleen Lee and Regis show. It's not Kathleen Regis anymore, and it was going pretty good. But I said no, I got to go back to One Cardinal, One Cub, One Beer. That's the place to be. That's where like McCartney and Lennon. McCartney's good by himself. Lennon's good by himself, but together, unstoppable. And a lot of the people got in front of the house with the Billy Jack thing. 110 soldier thing. And they said, you got to get back there. So here I am. And it's good to be back, everybody.
Welcome back. So I want to start by saying make sure you like us on Facebook. Contact us through one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com. For those of you who are watching on our YouTube channel, please subscribe so that you will have all of our information, all of our shows as soon as they drop. You can support us through Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer, and you can support our efforts, and all that is greatly appreciated. If you would like to be a guest on one of our panels, if you have an interesting baseball-related topic or story, if you're educated on something in baseball, you want to be on the show, drop us a line, let us know, say, hey, I really know about the Seattle Pilots bullpen from 1969. You're on, man.
I want to know.
Yeah, so leave us a DM, send us an email, leave a comment somewhere, get a hold of us, just say, hey, I have something interesting. I'd like to be on the show. JJ, how are you doing?
I am doing great. The World Series is over. Kind of sad. Vince, when the Cardinals and the Cubs season ends, it's kind of one death. And then when the season's over, finally at the World Series, you kind of really start feeling it. And I'm telling you what, it's dark outside already. It's getting cool. We've had nothing but rain in this part of the country. And but already, Vince, we've had some trades. We've got the general managers meeting coming up today in San Antonio, and that I think that gets the whole ball rolling. So next week we're going to have our general free agent contest. It'll be our third free agent contest, and we'll have 6 free agents, and whoever can name the most where they go and how many years they get for the tiebreaker will have a prize. So next week we'll have another contest starting. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. That's what I do like about, we do these contests during the off season to try to keep people interested and fleece us of crap that we have. Merchandise that we have. Sorry.
Oh, man.
So anyway, we do want to thank Maxwell for sitting in last week. JJ, you want to tell everybody exactly why you weren't here?
Well, to be honest with you, my wife, Faith, was having her right knee replaced. So I was with her in the hospital Monday and Tuesday, wanted to be here, but she needed me, and everything went as good as could be expected. And so she has been up with her sisters because her appointments are in St. Louis. She's actually in St. Peter's, and she'll be coming home tomorrow night, and then we'll be taking her to rehab down here in Potosi. So thank you, everybody, and it looks like everything's going to be a lot better for her.
Very good, very good. Well, let's get into the opening chat. I was just going to go over some players of name. There is a lot of stuff going around. So much stuff we could spend 3 hours talking about this. So I just wanted to talk about players of name in our division or former players for our teams, or big time players. So I've kind of narrowed it down a little bit to a few that I thought would be interesting. Number one, Garrett Cole opts in with the Yankees, and I think that was a surprise to a lot of people. And for the Rangers, Nathan Eovaldi opts out. So Evaldi becomes one of the top free agent arms in the market. Were you surprised by Garrett opting in?
Yes, I think originally he said no, and then the Yankees said, "All right, well, go ahead." And then it kind of shocked him, and then he asked if they could finish the deal. He said yes. So how it got to where it's at, him staying with the Yankees did not surprise me, but how he got there did surprise me. But I think it's a perfect marriage for both. He pitched very well in the World Series. He just needed to cover first base. We'll probably get to that a little bit later. But I'm glad he's staying with the Yankees. They need him, and he needs them.
What do you think about Evaldi? You think he's a potential future
Oh,
Cardinal or Cub?
possibly Cub. I think the way we're going, I don't see us spending big bucks, unless he just wanted to come here and give us a friendly discount or something like that. But I could see him fitting very nicely in your rotation. Matter of fact, in most, there's not a team out there. You could see these two top teams playing. They were short on starting pitching, and
Bullpen games in the World
I think
Series. Could you imagine a few years ago we'd be seeing bullpen games as if they were nothing in the World Series?
no, and this the slightest sign of, especially the Yankees, after a couple games, they were against the wall, but they would yank a starter out of there as soon as they had. I mean, the slightest chance of something happening, they got him out of there. But no, to answer your question, I did not think we'd see that. 3 years ago, I didn't think we'd see that, but it's kind of the thing that's happening now. So Evaldi could fit on any rotation. And I think at one time it was like a long reliever too. He could fit in and do that role too, like a sixth starter. But on most teams, he'd be the number two guy, I think.
Yeah, I'm not too turned on by Evaldi because he has fought injuries a lot during his career,
Yeah.
and I would be nervous for what he's probably going to command. That the contract could look bad pretty quick. So I could go
You,
without Evaldi.
Do you think maybe in the future there'll be more like incentive things, contracts? I mean, someone like Soto, who I'm sure we'll talk about later, it's just going to be bid more. But somebody like a starting pitcher who's had injuries, maybe incentives for he could make this if he makes this many innings and things like that. Maybe that's the direction we're going to be going in for some of those type pitchers.
I think there's going to be incentives, and I think we're going to see a lot more opt-outs in contracts.
Uh,
Team, player, mutual, when it comes to pitching, or just players who have injury issues in general or trying to bounce back. Um, I do see like Soto is going to get the sweet deal for a contract, but those huge contracts are going to be kind of reserved for
yeah,
superstar players who are young and who do not have an injury history, like Soto.
mm,
So that's kind of what I see going on.
I agree.
Uh, Former Cardinal Michael Waka extends for 3 years with the Royals, which I think the Royals got a taste of the playoffs this year. Realized that hey, we've got one heck of a staff and we can compete if we add a little more offense. So Waka liked pitching for the Royals. Loves the uh, defense that shortstop is bringing him. So
Amen.
um, I like the signing for both Waka and the Royals. And Michael Waka has had a very strange career.
He sure has.
Just came on like gangbusters with the Cardinals, and was it the 2013 World
13, I think it was 13.
Yes,
Yeah.
and, yeah, and then he's had issues off and on, and but man, here when you thought that he would be uh, ready to fade off into the sunset the last 3 years, he has pitched his best baseball. So
Yeah, I'm happy for Kansas City too. He seems like the perfect guy there. It's not like it's Philadelphia or New York where there's a lot of stress. It's kind of like a little more laid back. I don't think that when if they're in New York, when you go in front of the press, you got 20 guys. In Kansas City, you probably got 4 or 5, and it seems like it suits him. And they kind of have an underdog mentality anyway. And I'm glad for Walker. That's fantastic. I love that guy. He's a good pitcher, and he's really come on lately, and he deserves everything he gets. So perfect marriage. I'll be watching Royals next year and rooting for him for sure.
Yeah, I lived in Kansas City for 3 years and I just loved it there.
I
And
do
I,
too.
I, I can see how a ball player would fall in love with. I mean, George Brett's from California and has spent his life there. He's Kansas City now.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
Mr. Kansas City. Him and
yeah,
Mahomes.
yeah, him, Mahomes, and that's right. Uh, the Brewers have exercised the team option to keep Freddie Peralta around, so we still have to tangle
Face
with him
him.
in the division.
Yes, that's going to be. He's tough on both of our teams.
Yeah, yeah. Former Cub Eloy Jimenez, the Orioles did not exercise his contract option, so he's a free agent. Um, what do you think about Eloy Jimenez?
Be honest with you, I know the name. I don't know a lot of details on him. I'll be honest with you. Cardinals, as far as Cardinals go, we could use any help we could get, especially a veteran. Um, and that may be a guy the Cardinals would go after. I don't think we're going to go after Snell. Well, I didn't want to say his name. Yeah, I know you're going to mention him here in a little bit, but there's a lot of the big free agents out there. The Cardinals, we're probably I think Burns is out there. We're probably low tier two, high tier three, right in there, and hoping to get a bounce back here from a pitcher kind of thing. We're going to go with young guys. I think that's what we're going to do.
Well, let's talk about Snell and Burns. Uh, Burns is a free agent. Snell has opted
I'd love to
out.
have Burns. Oh,
Yeah. Gosh, Burns, Freed, Snell. Those are like the three biggest arms. They're going to command the biggest. And last week, I did a informal survey in one of my group pages asking Cub fans, would you rather have Freed? Would you rather have Burns? And I was surprised. It was kind of split 50-50.
okay.
I thought the Burns would be up, maybe like 70%, but it was about 50-50. And then there were a few people that said, I don't like the idea of having three left-handers in the line in the starting rotation. And I'm thinking, why?
It's worked before for some teams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's you know, I don't know. I've seen plenty of rotations with five right-handers and no one says anything. So um,
You think you guys might have an edge with reuniting with his old manager? I mean, there's a storyline.
I think that's surely that's going to help a little bit. Um, but Burns, his strikeouts fell below one an inning last year. And Max and I were talking last week, and Max said that he had heard that Baltimore had told him to try to get pitch a little more to contact so he could get more innings. And maybe that was the case. I mean, he's the all-star starter. He had a great year ERA of I think 2.92 or something like that. So he had a great season. Um, Freed, um, he has had some injury issues, but when he's on, he's great.
Yes, sir.
Snell, I've been very vocal. Snell drives me crazy because if he's not on, there's a lot of moving parts to that windup, and if it gets off, he cannot throw a strike. And everybody, if you know one thing about me, is that Vince does not like walks. Okay, I don't. So
I'm going to make a little go out on a limb here, and not much of one, little bitty limb. I bet Snell signs before New Year's. Last year, they just drug it out till spring training. And I really think that hurt him. He missed, I think, part of spring training. He went in there, he got hurt, he was injured, just wasn't himself the first half. The second half, he was typical Snell. But the first half, he didn't have a very good half. Second half, he threw no hitter, really looked good. So I'm going to say this year he's going to this is what I want, get it done, and he'll be on the team by New Year's, I believe, this year.
yeah, I think you're correct. I don't think he's gonna. Well,
Not drag it out, man. Woo.
the Yankees decide not to exercise the option on Anthony Rizzo. And for those of you who are Cub fans, there is no reason to get a backup third baseman who could first baseman who can do nothing but play first base or DH, who is clearly on the downside of his career. There's no place for him. He said, well, put him on the bench for, pinch hitter and he can spell at DH or spell at first base. No, no. And he benefited from that very, very short right porch in Yankee Stadium. And Max and I brought it up last week. Two of those homers that Freeman hit in the World Series in Yankee Stadium, neither of them would have been out at Wrigley. Neither. They would
You're
have
right.
been caught at the wall. So yes, I appreciate and love Anthony Rizzo. Is this the time to bring him back? No, the time to bring him back is when he retires. You retire his number, you put a statue out there, you bring him back then, or if he wants to be a coach or something. Uh, but no, this is not the time to bring him back as a player. Do you want him as a Cardinal?
Well, you know what? We brought Carpenter back, and I kind of look at him and Rizzo. Although Rizzo, they're both very good players and loved by their cities. But we did bring Carpenter back, but I think that a lot had to do with his attachment to our city. Rizzo really doesn't. I love him, but I will tell you this: I believe he'll get a job somewhere. There'll be a team,
Oh, he'll get a
Florida,
job.
the
Yeah.
White Sox. I'm not. There'll be somebody who needs a first baseman. Maybe somebody gets hurt, and I wish him all the luck in the world. I love that guy, a classy player. And that's what I love about this, Vince. I can talk about the Cub guys because there's a lot of Cubs I love. Classy, work hard, good players, and he's one of those guys. He's had a great career, you know. Kind of reminds me of Mark Grace kind of guy. So anyway, good luck for him. But yeah, I don't see him being a Cardinal either.
Yeah. Um, Going back to the Brewers, they exercised the option on, or Reese Hoskins had a player option. He exercised that, so he's going back to the Brewers. Um, had an okay season, was injured a little bit. Batting average was down. I coming off the injury, so I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of his. He hit some home runs, but I don't see a lot else there that makes me say, oh my gosh, how can we live without him? Former Cardinal Luke Weaver, the Yankees exercised the option on his contract, so he's going to close for New York again next year. Did a
Did a
fantastic.
fantastic job when they put him in that closer role. He bloomed. Some guys can't handle that, but he did a great job.
Yeah.
He's a veteran now too, and so I guess he's didn't really phase him. He did fantastic.
And the final one I'll bring up before I turn it over to you and you tell me how stupid I am or whatever.
Oh no, Vince never.
Jorge Soler, who went to the Braves in the middle of the season, well, towards the end of the season to try to help their playoff run. Didn't quite have the magic he had a few years ago. He has already been traded to the Angels. That did not take long to trade him to the Angels.
Next
So
day, yeah.
I love Jorge. He's a great person. Um, yeah, one year he hit 45 for the Royals. I mean, the power is there, but he can't really play the field much. He's a DH, so and the Angels seem to always pick up players that make no sense. So I don't know if this makes sense to them. It doesn't to me. So
Yeah, I don't see him coming to the Cardinals. We have a log jam of young players in that outfield with more coming. And I wish him all the best in the world. And maybe him and Trout, they can light that place up like Mantle and Maris. We'll see.
we'll see. Uh, any transactions or anything that's gone on so far that's really caught your eye?
Well, the Gold Gloves. I love the awards. This is the award season, and the Gold Gloves. And the Cardinals had three players that were they were finalists for the Gold Glove, and it was Donovan as a utility man, Mason Wynn at shortstop, and good Lord, Arenado at third base. And we struck out. None of them won it, and I have no problems with the players that did win it. Uh, I'll go over the American League guys real quickly here. The Seattle Mariners, Cal Riley, and I'll be honest with you, don't know a lot about him, but now he's on my radar. He got his he got his first Gold Glove. Carlos Santana, who came up as a catcher, won the Gold Glove with a yeah. What do you think about that, Vince?
Age 38, wins his first Gold Glove.
One for the old guys, Vince.
I Amazing.
Yes, of course. We are avid baseball fans, but we don't get to see Carlos Santana every day. And I turned over to the powers that be that know this stuff and watch these players every day. Each team votes and they can't vote for their own guy. So good for Carlos Santana. That's great.
The only thing
Um,
that I knew about him as far as his fielding went that he was so smooth.
yeah. Hey.
Come and see me on stage one day.
Oh man, that's good. I don't know. I was gonna try to work Black Magic Woman in there, but it just didn't work out. And anyway, that was his first. Second base, Andres Jimenez. That was his third from the Cleveland Guardians. Good for him. He is an outstanding fielder. Bobby Witt Jr., our boy from Kansas City. We just everything he gets. I'm so proud of that guy. He's come up and been everything Kansas City could hope for. And he's like, if there's a captain of the team, that should be it. Well, no, I'm sorry, Perez. And then maybe Witt eventually one day. Third base, Alex Bergman, and we all know him down in Houston. Maybe, I don't know what's going to happen with him. I think his contract's up, so we'll see if
Yeah,
he's going to
he's a
stay.
free agent.
He's a free agent, although they could resign him and he could come back, but we'll see. Um, Stephen Kwan from the Cleveland team, his third Gold Glove, outstanding. Centerfield Dalton Vershawn from Toronto got his first, and I just known him as a good all-around good player and a good hitter, but I didn't know he was all Gold Glove caliber. Um, Outfielder from Boston, Will I can't say his name from Boston. He's the left fielder. Seth Lugo, the pitcher from Kansas City, and Dylan Moore from Seattle was the utility man in the American League. And if you want to talk about the National League, because you have one person of special interest that won a Gold Glove for your Cubbies.
Go ahead. I don't have
Okay,
the entire list in
Ian
front of me.
Happ, and you predicted that too. You said Happ would win that Gold Glove. It's his third. Outstanding.
Yeah, he won it 2 years ago. Had a really good year defensively. Last year he didn't have a really good year defensively, but no left fielder did. So, but this year he was superb in left field. So this year was really deserving. So, wasn't a surprise.
That's that's good to see. Patrick Bailey from San Francisco, the catcher, got his first Gold Glove, and I thought Joey Bart was going to be the catcher for years to come, but little did we know Bailey
Hey,
was coming.
yeah.
Yeah, so he moved in. He's done a fantastic job. I think the kid's going to be terrific. Uh, Christian Walker from Arizona got his third at first base. Bryce Terang, who was second in stolen bases, I just mentioned that just for interest purposes. But he was from Milwaukee Brewers. He got his first, and he's a fantastic second baseman. I can't say this kid's name, but he's the Colorado Rockies shortstop. And you said he was a great pickup for them earlier in the year. I remember Tavani, the shortstop Tavani. I can't say his name. I'm
Yeah.
terrible with names.
Yeah, without
Uh,
it written down here, I can't.
yeah, I guys, I'm the terrible with Tony Pruno laughed at me when I try to say any kind of Japanese name or Hispanic name. I can't I mess them up. But Matt Chapman, the Giants third baseman, fifth Gold Glove, fantastic player, and he's bounced around a little bit. I know he was with Oakland as well, but he's with the Giants now, and he's got his fifth. And the outfield was Happ, Britton Doyle from Colorado, and Sal Frelick from Milwaukee, who is fantastic outfielder. Chris Sale was the pitcher, and Jared, Pittsburgh Pirate. I can't say his last name, but he was the utility man. And good for these players. It's good. They get some special recognition, and we'll see what happens there. I just love the Gold Gloves and some of the awards there. Vince, I don't know if you know, but Oakland A's have officially dropped Oakland from the name. So they're just going by the Athletics, or you can say the A's if you're mentioning them for the second time, but their abbreviation will be ATH now, the OAK. So Oakland A's are in Sacramento next year, playing in a minor league ballpark, and I don't honestly, and they're going to keep the green A as their emblem, which is cool. I like the colors of the Oakland A's. And by the way,
Yeah.
speaking of the Oakland A's, this Saturday down at One Boys Dream Hobby Shop, Jose Kasenko is coming down there, and I've got a bunch of stuff for him to sign. If you can get down there, it'll be great. And I think Brad may challenge him to a home run hitting contest at the softball field. I don't know. I've kind of heard some rumors, but
Oh,
I was looking at this, and I finally got it. I got this picture of the Bash brothers. I'm going to have them signing for me right over here, so that'll be good. And that's a classic picture from my youth.
nice.
No, thank you, sir. Um, oh, I've got a book I've been reading. I just want to share this. Tony Pruno, he's got that library, and
Yeah.
this is a book, 60 feet 6 inches, and it's batting, and it's Bob Gibson telling you how he pitched to the batters, what he was thinking, and Reggie Jackson reacting and telling you what he was thinking to all these different scenarios. This is a pretty good book. I'm enjoying it. It's an easy read, and it's great. When I read the book, I hear Bob and Reggie's voices. I can hear them talking back and forth. It's pretty darn cool. But the reason I mentioned that book, besides thank you, Tony Pruno, is there's a baseball book coming out by Rush's lead singer, Geddy Lee, one of the best collections of baseball memorabilia in all the world. And he's got a book coming out called 72 Stories. And if you've ever been around a collector very long, almost everything in their collection has a story to it, like, oh, that's right here. And, oh, you won't believe what I had to do to get this and where I went to. And it's going to be 72 stories about different pieces of memorabilia. And Giddy's got like the baseball signed by all four Beatles and one of their last shows at Shea Stadium. Uh, he's got ball thrown out opening day by JFK. There's only two. He thought there was one, but there was two because JFK was such a you know smart politician. He threw one pitch out to the one team and one pitch out to the other team, and then he signed both balls. Well, he's got both of them. So he's got this collection you wouldn't believe. But I'm actually very excited about that. I'm probably just going to buy the hardback. There is a autographed copy for $250. I'm just going to get the hardback one, Vince. Not crazy here. Anyway, Gideon Lee, that's great. And it's going to have a lot of pictures and a lot of stories about these pieces of memorabilia. So all you fans out there can get that. Let's see what else. I got so many things in here. Oh, one of my newest pieces. Are you ready for this? The Lars Newbar bobblehead. He's got his tongue out and everything. Look at that. Oh, can you believe it? It's even got grass. Well, it looks like grass anyway and kind of feels like it. But I absolutely love that. Whew, got me that. Let's see. Let's see. There's so many transactions, Vince. You mentioned a lot of them. I think that is pretty much everything I have right now on what's going on in baseball.
I do have one more thing to add. The classic era ballot for the Hall of Fame has come out, and that will be decided on, I think it's December 8th. And the names are Dick Allen, who I think should go in. It grates me. I was talking to my wife about this today when I read it. He's probably going to go in, and a couple years after he's dead. I know it's good for the family, but there's a part of me that's like, why bother now? He didn't get any better since he died. He didn't get any better since he retired. He should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. The 60s were a pitching dominated decade, and he was one of the top two offensive players of the 60s. Yeah, he didn't have those huge numbers because the ballparks got really big in the 60s, the mound was still high, and the pitching was dominant. But his war is Hall of Fame caliber. Um, when you compare what he was to his contemporaries, he was head and shoulders above almost everybody. Should be in the Hall of Fame. Rant over. Former Cardinal Ken Boyer is on the classic era ballot. Um, John Donaldson, and he was in the Negro Leagues, and we're talking about the 20s through the 40s. Um, he had four, and this is verified. So there's others that's unverified, but this is what they could verify: 424 victories, 5,221 strikeouts, and a
Woo.
300 batting average and 1,800 at bats. So this guy could play, and I do think that he going to get in. Steve Garvey, okay, Steve Garvey. Didn't like him when he was around. Didn't like him after he decided he was going to impregnate every woman at the same time in California. Think he's a piece of garbage. I don't care if he's in the Hall of Fame or not. Um, I'm sorry. Was some of that personal? I don't know. Uh, Vic Harris, who played in the Negro Leagues, I don't think he's going to get in. 304, I think, lifetime average. And a lot of that verifiable lifetime average, but he did manage for a lot of years, and his managerial record is like 667, like 2 out of 3 games he won.
Woo.
So
Man.
that's impressive. Tommy John, who I've always thought should be a Hall of Famer, is on the ballot. Dave Parker. I just think
The Cobra.
there was that gap in the middle of his career when he had the drug issues that he just was not that good, and then he rehabilitated himself. So I'm not sure if he's quite there. And Luis Tiant, who also just passed away, you know, we talked about that about a month ago when he passed away. Did we think he was Hall of Fame caliber? And we both kind of were like, he's
Yeah.
borderline. See,
Yeah.
so that's the classic era ballot. I think it will be interesting. I do think John Donaldson and Dick Allen are the two that will be go in, and they may get a third one in there. But I think those are the two that are locks. What do you think?
Vince, I was reading that Dick Allen, when he was on the ballot, only missed, I think maybe one of the last times he was on the ballot, only missed by one vote.
Yeah,
He was so close. So with that, caveat, I think he's a no-brainer. Great. There was a one time I had a little story about all the guys who had made music, and Dick Allen was also a lead singer of a doo-wop band, which I did not know. I thought I'd pass that on to you, the old doo-wop sound. And but Dick Allen, I always remember on the front of Sports Illustrated with the White Sox uniform, the red where they had the red head, and he was smoking a butt, And I was like, all right, Dick Allen, he's kind
juggling
of
the
a rebel.
baseballs. Yeah,
Oh yeah, check on the
that was his
baseballs.
issue was when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, Larry Doby, Monty Irving, those early players, they were pretty much instructed, take it, just take it. Dick Allen was one of the first guys who didn't take it. He was like, I am a proud African American man, and if you don't like it, I don't care. When the racial taunts would come at him, he didn't shy away. He went right at him. Um, and that he got a reputation for being um, a malcontent. And I think a lot of that's unfair. Maybe he was a malcontent, but you know, when you put up with
Yeah.
stuff he had to put up with, I'm sure that that would make you a little angry too. I've seen plenty of interviews with him. I didn't think he was generally an angry guy just to be angry. I think there were areas where he felt like he had a right to be angry at, and he stood for what he believed in. Um, but he had those years in Philly, and then he kind of bounced around, and he like the one year is in St. Louis, he had about 35 home runs, and they got rid of him. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if we got a better a deal for him or, I know. See, that's always the thing, Vince. Like Solar, you never know if they're in demand. Everybody wants them, or we want to move them. I think with Dick Allen was more like, he was in demand, and so many teams wanted him. And to talk about how he, maybe personality, I just think he was an intense individual. He played the game hard. He showed up every day to work, and he played to win. And some people, I don't know, maybe the other teams have rubbed the wrong way, but I love the guy. Everything I knew about him and heard about him, I absolutely loved him.
yeah, you can't put up those kind of offensive numbers and not care. I mean,
Right.
Um, if you don't care, you collect the paychecks and
Yeah, take a day off here and there, all that
or
kind of
take a
stuff.
season off here and there.
Yes. We've all known players.
Cardinal. So,
Oh yeah,
uh,
we know a lot of those guys. I could name a bunch of them. Oh yeah. Vince, what do you think about this though? You were talking about the slurs and the fans and everything. And I know we were going to talk about the World Series later, but one of the things I noticed is in the playoffs, you had in the San Diego and the LA, you had the fans throwing the baseballs on the field, and they were kind of taunting the fans. There was that going on, but the fans got involved. World Series, we had those fans grabbed Mookie Betts and try to yank the his glove off and the ball. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous, and I applaud Mookie Betts for being a class act. I'm going like, what the heck, man? But he didn't go in there and swing. Now Tommy Pham was out there. That'd been a different story. But Mookie Betts were like, what the heck? And then they were proud of it. You got to kick those guys out. They can't be doing that. And then there was another time in the game, a real pivotal time. A fan reached over the fence and grabbed the ball, and it actually kind of hurt the Yankees because then they had to go back to second. It might have been a home run, it might have been a triple, who knows? But they interfered in the game, and you can't do that. Now, if you're in the stands, I'll be honest with you. If the other team's coming in, maybe I'll just stand there, and if my guy's coming over, I get completely out of the way. Maybe that's the difference. But I would never grab a player. And if they're going in, maybe I protect them a little, like, hey, be careful, because Verdugo went in and I think it just surprised the fans that he was going in the stands and he flipped over the wall there. But I'm seeing a little more of that where the fans are getting involved in the games more and more and saying stuff. And I just think that's ridiculous. I don't like the trend that it's headed that way.
see, I growing up and sitting in the bleachers, I saw a lot of stuff. The game was
Yeah.
different in the 70s. I went to a Cardinal Cub game, and this is one of the few times Bill Buckner wasn't on first. He was playing left field. And there was a guy in the bleachers that cussed him up and down for 9 innings, called him gay slurs, all kinds of stuff that you just don't see today. They worked hard to clean up the game and make it family friendly in the 80s and 90s, and it paid off. And I mean, it paid off because now families were coming to the ballpark, not just a bunch of guys that want to come with their friends and get drunk and harass players. They cleaned it up. I saw a guy throw ice at the Phillies bullpen once, and it was nothing to see people get escorted out. Now I see things swinging back the other way, and uh, we are at a different place in society than we were just 10 years ago. We just are. Um, and I hope it gets ironed out. Um, I hope people start to uh, respect social norms like we used to. The guy in New York, it, it wasn't just that he was ripping the ball out of his glove, the look of disdain on his face, like, I deserve to get this ball and you deserve to have it dropped. I That's what was more disturbing than anything to me. Um, he caught the ball, and I could see if I'm there thinking I'm going to catch the ball, suddenly the glove comes in. I can see grabbing the glove and oh gosh, he caught it. I'm touching Mookie
Yeah.
Betts. I can't do this. But we're
Right.
just in a time in society where social norms are breaking down back to where they were when I was a kid, and people feel like they can do stuff like that. Um, and his buddy who reached over and grabbed his other hand, I thought that was just as egregious. Grab Betts's other hand, like, no, I'm going to let my buddy grab this ball from you.
Yeah.
And they walked out as heroes, and I'm thinking, what the f, you
Is
know?
that a New York thing? Maybe it's a New York thing where, hey, this is a tough city and you got to get toughen up. Or I don't know. But you always get a couple knuckleheads. I think most fans aren't like that, though. I think most fans applaud when they see something good and they get out of the way and they worry about, you see somebody hit with a ball, even if they've got, a Dodger hat on at your stadium. Oh, are you okay? Oh my gosh, get somebody over here. I think that's what you see more than anything. It's just a few of those knuckleheads. I truly think most people are civilized and care
Yeah, but
somewhat
when
for
the
each other.
stakes are that high,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
you know, I'll go back to the Bartman incident. Um, I was embarrassed the way that humanity, and I mean humanity, treated him. I was very embarrassed the way the Cub fans treated him. He didn't do anything that a lot of other people would not have done. And I was very angry that Moises Alou did not take that upon himself because I contend if Moises Alou would have just walked back and not thrown a fit, it would have been a non-factor. It was his reaction. And then you've got this millionaire who never took, say, hey, man, I overreacted. I should have just marched back to left field and kept in the flow of the game. But it, it was okay for this whole town to uh, crucify this guy who was just a fan and the rest of the nation make a joke out of it. And I mean, in 2016, they invited him back to throw out one of the first pitches in the World Series. He said, no, thank you. I don't blame him. He's
Yeah.
tried to just stay low key. Um, but I don't know. Well, I think when the stakes are that high, we lose our decency. And I see in little league games, I see it
Oh,
in high school
you're
games.
right.
We have an issue in high school football. They're having to play games on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because they don't have enough people who want to referee these games because of the parents.
You're right.
I I did some umpiring in college, and it was ridiculous. I, for what you go through, and at the time I think we got like $70 a game. There was no way I wanted to do that anymore. Hey, you want to do this game? No, I'm not doing it anymore. I've had enough. And when we're just in an era where fans feel like they own the game, they're not spectating it, I guess I could say.
Yeah, you're right, Vince. You're exactly right about the refs and the high school, all the way down to little league. Yeah, you know, yeah, it's sad, and hanging on to a player's arm too. I forgot where Mookie was, but they could have twisted his hand. They could have hurt him or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah. The last I read that this guy still may face jail time. Um, last I read, I mean, at first they said that, oh yeah, he can come back the next day, and then they said no, he can't come back the next day. And they said, nah, we're going to take away his season tickets. Um, and now they're saying he may possibly face jail time. I think as time has kind of went on, a few days have passed. People like, well, that was really stupid, you know.
Yeah, there's no
But
need for that.
but really, the action was alarming, but the look on his face, it was very uncomfortable for me to watch that. So I'm exhausted now.
He needs a diet Mountain Dew, everybody.
What's going on in Cardinal news? I hope happier news.
Oh, well, I was happy with our year this year. We came a long way.
It was
Again, I
better
don't,
than last year.
it was better last year. We didn't have real competitive games, though, in September. We kind of knew our fate. I hung on for dear life. Maybe, but no, it didn't come. But the Cardinals already, there's been a lot of movement already. We picked up a player off waivers from Florida. Uh, let's see if I can say this name. Roddery Munoz. He's a pitcher. He's a young fella. He we I think he's like 22 years old, I believe. Now, if you look at his stats, he doesn't mow you down. He has control problems, but he's a young player and he's got a lot of promise. He's got a heck of a slider. And last year, though, I'll be honest with you, he was 2-7 with a 6.53 ERA. And in 18 games, he started 17. So he's just a project. We'll see what happens. It can't hurt. But he's got potential to, electric stuff. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully he does good. The Cardinals declined offers on Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, and Goldschmidt. And Middleton, the reliever, who got hurt early in the year and never did pitch for us. We got him from the White Sox last year. So those three players are gone. I'm going to miss Goldie. I hope there's talk. And that's another thing, Vince. You're hearing all these rumors. Oh, this team's interested in this guy. And you look on the thing, Cardinals involved in a three-team super mega swap, but you don't know what to believe until it's in. I hear about it. I don't believe anything, and we'll see.
You and I
But
can
I,
write those things.
yeah, I know.
I,
And then
I've
you
got,
get on there, and it's like nothing.
yeah, they haven't even had a GM's meeting. They haven't had anything except for the end of the season press conference. No one's talking to anybody yet. The World Series just got over. Okay, someone's talking to somebody. The Orioles or the Braves talked to the Angels. Besides that, no one else is talking to
Yeah,
anybody. So
that's
everybody's
right.
just a bunch of speculation.
Just speculation, but you see these stories out there. Oh, Mega, this player unhappy here and may go there, and you're like, what the heck? So we'll just hold on. I know we're all excited, and you know, next season can't get here soon enough, but so many of that stuff's going on. I do want to recognize a guy who was a big part of the Cardinal family, Galen Pitts. Galen played 2 years in the major leagues, and it was 1974 and 1975 for the Oakland A's when they were still the juggernaut, the Mustache Gang. He was a utility man, and in those 2 years, he only had 44 at bats because the A's were just stacked. But he had a short career. But what I really recognize him for is he came over. He was in the A's organization as a coach from 78 to 79, but he came over to the Cardinals in the 80s and went all the way through our system, working from rookie ball all the way up to Memphis. And he actually just paid his dues and did 10 years as a coach and a manager down there. He guided the Springfield Cardinals to division titles in 86 and 87. And then Arkansas, which we had the Travelers at the time, which I believe they're part of the California Angels now organization. That minor league city is now a part of the Angels. But anyway, he led them to a championship in 89. Then when Joe Torre came aboard in 91 through 95, he was one of the coaches for Joe Torre all those years. He was a hitting coach 1 year, bullpen coach another year, and a bench coach in 95. And then years later, he went back down to Palm Beach Cardinals, and in 09 became a special assistant and like a roving instructor. And anyway, he was, I always would get the minor league cards from Louisville, and Galen Pitts was the first card because he was the manager of the team. So that's how I remember Galen Pitts. But he passed away last month. I just kind of wanted to recognize him there. A good guy and a good soldier. And there's so many guys in baseball. You know, we all know the Judges and the Sotos and the Stantons and the big stars, but there's guys that maybe just had a cup of coffee and they spent a lot of time just instructing players like Albert Pujols, and some of the players that came along later was a big part of their development. So Galen Pitts right there. And let's see. And the other thing, Vince, that I have on Cardinal news is Sonny Gray says he wants to stay here with the Cardinals. I know he's got a nice 2 more years on his contract, and even if it's a rebuild they're going through, he wants to be a part of it. So stay tuned. Same bat time, same bat channel. I don't know what that the future is going to hold for Sonny Gray, but I'd love to see him here and help develop and work with these young pitchers who hopefully become a big part of our team in the future. So that's Cardinal news right there.
Very good. The big news coming out of Chicago is that Cody Bellinger opts in. There was a lot of speculation that he was going to opt out, but he opts in. I'm kind of torn on it. For what he's being paid, he's got to be better than last year. He's got to. And now we're stuck with him. So hitting 266 with less than 20 home runs, and that's not going to cut it because we're paying you to be the Thunder in the lineup, and you're just not there.
I
If
was
he,
wondering what you thought because when I heard he was staying, I thought of you and thought, I wonder what Vince thinks. Is he thinking, oh, I wish he kind of would go? But you've had 2 years with him. One was like MVP caliber, and then one was just average. So
I wasn't MVP caliber, it was all-star caliber, but
I'll start. Okay.
he, he, 26 home runs his first year there. This year, I think he had 17 or something like that.
I know we couldn't get him out when we faced you guys. He
Yeah,
just destroyed us.
yeah. We need him to hit at least upper 20s into the 30s for home runs. We just don't have any real thunder. Um, I guess we do. I guess Suzuki would be that, but Suzuki once more missed 30 games this year. And if you extrapolate what he did, an extra 30 games, he probably does get over 30 home runs. But we need Bellinger to play a little bit better and stay on the field. Um, if being he opts in, we have $43 million as of today. We have $43 million to play with before we hit the luxury tax. Um, we do have 14 ARB eligible players. And of those 14, there's only probably three that we're going to keep on the team. That would be Steele. That's a no-brainer. Pearson, who had a heck of a year once he got here, and Paredes. So with those three retaining and the 11 other arbitrational, that's another 20 million. So we got about 63 million to play with under that, but we are going to have some positions to fill. As I said last week with Max, we need a whole new bench. Besides Mike Talkman, who I definitely want to keep as that fourth outfielder. Um, your Mastrobonis, your Madrigals, your oh, who else did we have on the bench this year? I can't even remember. They're just a lot of
Moving parts.
parts that just are not quite good enough to be on a team that's good. Because when we did have to put in Mastroboni or Madrigal or something, the production just went way down. So we need a stronger bench. So it's not like we can go out and, hey, we got 63 million to play with. Let's give it all to Juan Soto. That's not going to work. So as far as Cubs go, Kyle Hendricks and Jorge Lopez have filed for free agency. Hendricks definitely not going to come back. Jorge Lopez, who had a good year for us, I think we would like to bring him back, but I think he's going to find greener pastures with a greener pasture somewhere else. People are going to say, we really need to fill that bullpen, and there's a veteran arm who had a great year last year. The Cubs have waived Yency Almonte, Colton Brewer, and Oli Paredes, three pitchers, and Christian Bethencourt. No surprises there. Yency Almonte started off good with us, and then he got injured. We didn't see him the rest of the season. Came over in the Michael Busch trade. Colton Brewer filled in a few innings. I don't remember if Paredes even pitched 5 innings. I don't know. Bethencourt had a really good season with the Cubs the last 2 months there. And that was an aberration. He's not that kind of an offensive player that he was for the Cubs, so I have no problem with him leaving. And one Cub was named a finalist for the Silver Slugger. That is Seiya Suzuki. So hopefully he can pull that off. And finally, in Cub news, former Cub Quentin Berry has been hired as our third base coach. He coached first base in Milwaukee for Council, so Council is slowly putting his people in that he's comfortable with. And Quentin Berry is supposed to be really good with the base runners, so I'm going to be interested to see what he's going to do with a player like PCA, if we're going to see more stolen bases from PCA, a little more daring on the bases, so on and so forth. That's Cub news. I am losing my voice down
I
here.
can tell, Vince. I can tell. Sinuses and stuff. The
I
seasonal
don't
stuff.
know. I don't know. But you know who is never losing his voice?
Oh, Jeremy Connor.
Jeremy Connor, always that golden voice coming through the microphone. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. we're just gonna wrap up the World Series. Who won that, JJ? I really didn't pay attention.
Oh man, can I tell you it was a joy? That World Series was a joy. I enjoyed every minute of it, and 3 of the 5 games were very intense. There was a few games that got away there, but I really enjoyed it. And but Vince, I'm going to say this: the two glaring things that separated the teams for me was the speed and the base. Well, really, the base running of the Dodgers. The Yankees made a lot of mistakes on their base running, and the defense. I just think the Dodgers had much, much better defense than the Yankees. And to
Yeah,
me, that's what it came down to.
what the Yankees were really exposed. I do not think they were the best team in the American League. I after watching them in the World Series, they are a bad fundamental team, and that goes directly on Aaron Boone. That's why I don't think Aaron Boone's coming back.
Mm.
Um, we'll get into the Game Five fiasco with the breaking down the fundamentals there, but yeah, the Dodgers just looked like a more fundamentally sound team. They didn't make mistakes. They when you're a good, talented team like that, you are going to take advantage of your opponent's mistakes. And the Yankees made the mistakes. The Dodgers didn't. The Dodgers took advantage. That's why the World Series finished in 5 games.
You know, also I each team, this was a fascinating thing. Each team, you don't see this very often, where their power, the core, there's 3 guys in there you got to tiptoe through. And most teams don't have 3. I mean, they'll have a couple, or they'll have some good players, or a deep lineup. But when you got over to the Yankees, here was Judge and Stanton and Soto. Then over here on the Dodgers, you had Betts and Freeman and Otani. And now and usually what comes down to is somebody, the second guys, somebody steps up and they make them beat them. But it's hard to get through 3 of those guys, and both teams was loaded with those. But their secondary players were excellent as well. But one thing I noticed was I always admired the Cardinals were wanted Stanton at one time, and then the Yankees went and got him. So we actually wanted Yelich, and then Yelich was going to stay, but once Ozuna left, then he went ahead and left. And but Stanton just he's a good hitter. He's intimidating, but he's just not a very fast runner. And a lot of times he got exposed on the things that the play at the plate. Um, Even when he went in a second one time, I was like, oh, it was close. And I thought he'd be in there by a mile. So, man, that was just tough to watch some of those plays. And every time he slid, I thought he was going to get hurt. He's just
Yeah,
I mean, a guy that size sliding at that age, he's getting older too.
yeah, he's a classic uh, guy who plugs up the bases.
Yeah.
Um, and I, he got thrown out at the plate okay by Hernandez, but he didn't run through a sign. He was sent. And yeah, there's some guys when you see them chugging towards home, you're thinking this isn't going to end good.
No, he'd been better just to bowl over the catcher. I don't know what to say. He slid and it was like, oh, but he caught that ball and had it waiting on him when he went into his slide. But Vince, this series really had these just iconic moments that I remember. Like I remember the Dodgers winning it. I may not remember the scores. It went years go by, but some of the things that I really remember was, of course, one of my all-time favorite players, Fernando Valenzuela, passed away right at the beginning of the World Series, like a day or two. We had like that 4 days off before the World Series started, between the championship series and the World Series, and Fernando passed away. And I thought that was very touching memorial they had to him before Game One, where Hershiser and I think it was Socha went, the catcher uh, who caught for him all those years. Socha,
So
they
shit.
went out and put the ball out there and had 34 on the back of the mound. I thought that was pretty cool, and I always remember Fernando with the screwballs and looking to the heavens, and I'm a chunky guy. Fernando was a chunky guy, and he kind of showed, hey, you can be any kind of shape or size and play Major League Baseball if you're good enough. So, kind of thought that was a real touching thing. Um, I wrote down some things and just kind of see what you think about that. We had let's see, I write so small. Oh, what the heck? Freddie Freeman, is he Superman or what? We knew he had that ankle problem and he's limping, and they didn't even know before game time was Freddie going to be able to play. I think he missed some games in the championship series. And of course, they had a knockdown drag out with San Diego, but we didn't know he had a broken rib. He was doing all that, Vince, with a broken rib and a bad leg. And Freddie set the all-time record for home runs in the series. And the first game one, he had the grand slam in the 10th inning. They walked bets. You know, Verdugo made that incredible play over there in left field where he went to the stands and caught that ball, and they all got to move up a base. Of course, they walk Mookie Betts, but you got to pitch to somebody, and Freddie comes in on the first pitch and takes one out of there. That was just a great moment. Any thoughts on that first game?
Uh, yeah, thoughts on the first game. What I was more impressed with than the home runs was the triple he hit to lead off the first game. Not to lead off, but in the first thing of the first game, he hit that triple down the left field line, and he's running. I'm thinking, okay, there's a double because I know he's got the bad ankle going there, and he just kept going. And I thought, right, that's stupid. You're gonna get thrown out of third. Well, didn't get thrown out of third. He actually scored. And then he came up and hit the grand slam to win the game. There in the was that was in the 10th, wasn't it?
Yes, it was in the 10th inning,
Yeah.
bottom of the
And
10th.
then
Walk
he
off.
then he hit another bomb, game two, and then the, the two home runs he hit in New York, I didn't understand because they were both inside pitches. They're not home runs in most ballparks. Yeah, I mean, they look like they were safe, 3, 4 rows back, but Yankee Stadium has a stupid right field. I mean,
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
yeah, and it's like I told Max last week, baseball's a weird sport. You know, you can't decide in football, hey, we're going to build a stadium, but we're deciding we're going to make it 20 yards wide and 150 yards long. Or we're going to build a hockey rink that, instead of having this perfect square with the rounded corners, we're going to make it into an oval because it's going to be our home. Baseball should have some standards, and I think that you should have at least 325 feet down the lines. Um, but you don't,
You know,
Yeah,
but
I could
I
see
know it's crazy.
the old stadiums. I could see because they had to build them in neighborhoods and they had to do some things. But in today's world where you build a stadium, you buy all the land you want for the parking and everything, you can make it the dimensions you want. To let a team say, you know what, we're the Yankees and we love our left-handed power hitter, so we're going to make right field easy to hit home runs in is ridiculous. But it's baseball though.
Yeah, the Green Monster. I love that
The ball's
sound
not
of,
even 300 feet away.
yeah, pink, but you gotta hit at an angle. And then
Yeah,
remember when I guess it was like Crosby Field where the Astros had that flagpole out. You had to run up a hill. There was a flagpole. I love the Coliseum with the foul territory. Like most fields, they want to get all the seats up as close, as many seats as they can. But I love that foul territory where it helps the pitcher with foul balls and stuff like that. Uh, I don't know. There's so many interesting receipts, but that Yankee right field is a joke, and I think
yeah.
everybody knows. Even the Yankee fans laugh about it.
So back to my point. Those in games 3 and 4, those home runs he hit were inside pitches. I think one was a fastball and one was a cement mixer. Um, but they were inside, and of course, it's easier to pull them. And I'm like, gosh, at least try to dust the outside corner. Maybe bust one 6 inches inside, and everything else outside, outside, outside. So, if he's going to try to pull it into the right field bleachers, he's going to have to hook it and will likely round out the second base, roll over or something like that. But I just did not, and that goes down to fundamentals. I didn't think they were pitching him very wisely, um, especially in Yankee Stadium.
He said he had a video. He was watching the video of how Nestor pitched to Otani, and he said he always started out pitching him inside, getting him off the base. And he said he threw the same, and he did that all whenever they faced him. That's what Nestor would do to Otani. So he goes, "All right, he's going to come inside." He knew what was coming, but the hard part is hitting it. And he
Yeah,
said, I guessed right, and I got the bat on it, and it was gone. So I love that cat and mouse game. But you're right, stay away from him. Make him go the other way. I'm with you, Vince. Yeah, but in this game, sometimes it's mano a mano. Here's my best. See if you can hit it. Well, Freeman hit it.
I think that's okay in the regular season, but when
Oh,
the stakes are so high, just stay away from the hot hitters, man.
woo!
Make
I wish the Cardinal. See, we should have
justice
had
of the
you
world
on our
beat you.
bench when David Ortiz was killing us. We should have had
Yeah,
you on our bench
yeah.
saying, "Hey, no Ortiz."
Hey, I saw a series against the Reds where Joe Madden kept um, Aristides, whatever his name was, the outfielder for the Reds, who his rookie season he had like 15 home runs in his first 30 games, and most of them were against the Cubs. We just kept he's hot. Stop pitching to him. And then a year or two later, uh, Matt Carpenter comes into town, or we go to St. Louis, and Madden keeps pitching to Carpenter. What he hit like 32 home runs in a 4 game
There was a
series.
there was a
I'm just a big believer. If you got a guy on fire, don't pitch to him. You
someone.
someone else get you okay, but there are times when hitters get so hot you can't get them out. They're seeing the ball so well, and it doesn't happen often, but there are times when a hitter gets what they call white hot. The ball looks like a beach ball. Nothing is fooling them. You don't see them swinging off the back of their feet or lunging or anything. You know they're completely locked in. When you got a player like that, which Freeman was in the World Series, stay away from him.
Stay away from him. My
I mean, you can't
gosh.
stay away from him when the bases are loaded, but oh,
Oh, well, Vince, just those iconic moments, like if you were making baseball cards of this series, I think Yamamoto earned his money in that game too. He
that's why
looked,
they signed him.
that's
Yes,
why they signed him now. During the year, he was hurt a lot. And you're like, what? They paid all that money, the most for a pitcher for this guy? But he came through when it counted. It looked like $1 million, and he just pretty much held the Yankees down, used his defense, and looked fantastic. But Vince, that moment, now I knew they were going to be up 2-0, but that moment where Otani slid into second, and all of a sudden he put his hand up and he walked off the field holding his arm. Ooh, I was really, and you could see they showed the crowd, and people were like, "Oh, no." It was in L.A., and you thought, "Oh no!" And he had a day off between game 2 and 3. I didn't think he was coming back for the rest of the World Series. I really didn't. What did you think when you saw that?
um, I think, and we talked about this last week, Max and I. I think he needs to cut down on the base running.
He's too, yeah,
Anything that can jeopardize, he either has to have surgery or he's going to have surgery on that left shoulder now. It's not serious. He's going to be ready by the series. It's not his pitching arm. It's not like it's a big deal, but boy, that it, to me, you had this fantastic season, 50-50. Okay, you did it, fine. But next season, slow something down a little bit. And I don't know if that's even in his DNA because he is such a competitor. But yeah, oh gosh, don't do this. I thought this was
yeah.
interesting. Before we get back to the players and everything, the series was up. It was the highest rated series since 2017, 15.8 million. 2017 World Series had a higher rating. And of course, 2016 World Series had a huge rating with the Cubs winning it, 22 million. But thinking, I was thinking the ratings would be higher. with the two marquee cities, and the ratings were up. But I was just thinking it would be a huge boost. But and then again, we watch baseball different now. There are people who, um, you work or something, or you got to go to bed early. You're just watching the replay the next day. It's we don't consume things the way we used to on a live
Right.
basis. So there's probably a lot more eyes on it than what we saw. But I was kind of like huge ratings pop. We got a ratings pop, but not as big as I thought. I think it was almost twice as big as last year. Last year was way down. Um, when you got Texas and Arizona, even though baseball nerds like us like a matchup like
I
that,
loved it. I loved it. Yes.
you're not going to bring in the casual fan with that. But anyway, um, I was happy to see Tommy Edman have a great postseason, finish it off with a great series, and if it wasn't for a guy named Freddie Freeman, may have been the MVP of the World Series too. Um, now that Tommy Edman is not a Cardinal, I love him.
Hey, I understand. It's like my friends that are hockey fans, they hate this player when he comes over and plays for your team and keeps irritating the other team. You're like, I love that guy. I love that guy. Tommy Edmonds exactly what I thought he would be. He was a great player, plays any position. He's a gold glover. He was a gold glover here in St. Louis, but he just didn't, I don't think, the everyday attention that he got in that stretch run. And of course, he came through, led the team in stolen bases 3 years in a row. Great at bat, takes really good at bats, hard to strike out. It seems like he takes it up a notch with two strikes. Those are special players that can do that, and just great baseball sense. And I'm going to miss him. But the Cardinals decided to stay with Segis. Of course, he's going to eventually here real soon get the bigger money, and we have Donovan and Segis coming. So that's the direction the Cardinals went. I understand, and we could probably get a better pitcher for Edmund than we would have for the other two. So I understand, but I'm going to miss him. And what a series! I think the guy that if it wasn't Freeman that might have got the MVP was Tarasco Hernandez. That guy had a great series. There was he hit 350, which was the highest on the Dodger team, and just always seemed to be in there because they were trying to get by the three big guys, and Hernandez came through, putting the ball in play. Edmund getting on base or moving runners over. Hernandez did the same thing with some big hits. And I've watched Tarasco Hernandez for years, heard other players say what a good player he is. But that was the first time I realized, oh my gosh, this guy's top notch. He's a very top notch player. I just didn't
And he did
realize how
throw
great
out
he was.
Stanton. That was a huge play. He threw him out. So
That is true. When
you got to
he
give
when
his
he had to,
props.
he
It
came
wasn't his
through.
fault that Stanton runs slow, but he made the throw, got the job done. So
Since
yeah,
I notice about baseball is when there's a moment like if you come through, it changes your whole trajectory, your whole history, your legacy. Um, Dave Roberts was kind of on the hot seat, and I can't believe it. He does nothing but win. But in that Padres series, the Padres had won. I heard some murmurs like, "Well, you know what? They may move on from Roberts." I was like, "What? This guy's done nothing but win." And there was moments in that World Series where he just pulled the right strings. He orchestrated that bullpen. I know he's got a bullpen coach and a bench coach, but he worked that bullpen like a jazz musician, moving them in and out. A lot of those guys, there was four guys in there that pitched 3 to 5 games and had no hardly any ERAs, just came through. There was a moment where there's a guy, Blake Tehran, where the game was on the line. He went out, talked to him, and said, "Can you get these guys out?" He said, "I'll get them out." And he left them in the game. And probably, the sabermetrics guys were like, "Oh, you got to yank him right there." But he came through and they got the win. So, tip of the cap to Dave Roberts, did a great job, and he deserves all the accolades that he's been getting.
yeah, he pulled the right strings, whereas Aaron Boone didn't. And just the overall presentation of the Yankees, I don't think Aaron Boone's coming back. I think they can do better with a coach who is going to drill in the
Fundamental.
fundamentals and get them to, hey, I know there's a lot of talent here. The best team when we were growing up was a Big Red Machine. But Sparky Anderson, they were a very good fundamental baseball team. Um, and that's where all good baseball starts. If you're good in the fundamentals, then talent, you add talent and you develop talent and you get better. When you are not good on the fundamentals, I don't care how good you are, somewhere in a short series, it can bite you, and it did with the Yankees. So, getting back to the Dodgers, before I forget about it, I think Walker Buehler made himself about $10 more million. So, um, what was it, game three that he won, game two or three,
Yeah.
and then in game five, come in and close it out. And boy, he looked good. He looked really good.
Well, again, I'll go with Dave Roberts there. I saw Bueller pitch against the Brewers in Milwaukee in August. Vince, he didn't look good at all. He was hanging his curveballs. He couldn't hit his spots. But Roberts, every 5 days, of course, he had a lot of injuries too. I think maybe he had to run him out there, but he believed in him. He kept running him out there. And then, just like Yamamoto, when it was time, he came through and he had that good 5 inning game in game three and just kept him and, got the bullpen a little rest. And then he came in that final game where they were down all those runs and fought back after the Yankees made, again, fundamental errors. Judge made his first error. That play, well, I'll see that picture of Cole pointing at Rizzo come first base when Rizzo came up to toss the ball to him. He was standing there pointing. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
let's talk about those three plays in the fifth inning of game five.
Yeah.
Judge dropped the fly ball. When
Yes, he
I
did.
first saw it, I thought maybe it was one of those tweeners because anybody who's played outfield knows the ball above the neck is easy to catch. You know how to put your glove up and catch the ball. The ball below your waist, you know you're going to go for the basket. It's in this midsection area where you're not sure, you kind of, that's when you have to think, what's the best way? So I thought maybe that was the situation. Then when I saw the replay, I thought, no, he just muffed an easy fly ball. Um, and like I said, good teams take advantage of that. And then the Volpe throw where he spiked the ball trying to throw it to third base. Um, that was error number two. And this wasn't an error, but the ground ball to Rizzo where Cole didn't cover first. And there's been, whose fault was that? It's both their faults. Cole should have been breaking for first. I mean, that's what you do when the ball's hit for the first base and you break and then see if the first baseman's got it. Rizzo had the ball, and Rizzo thought, okay, I'm just going to shovel it to Cole. And Cole didn't break. I mean, he was still in the polo ground somewhere. He didn't break. And Rizzo brain cramped and didn't think, I need to sprint for the base. He just kind of brain cramped for a minute. And because Rizzo easily could have ran over and got the base, but it was a mental error by Cole, a mental error by Rizzo. And I think at that time, the moment got to both of them.
I think
Um,
so.
Cole, from Little League, you're taught, balls hit to the first baseman, you break for the base and see what's going to happen. You're taught as
Spring
a,
training, they go over that and over that. That's just one of
yeah,
those.
balls come to you, look up and see where the pitcher is. And when Cole didn't break and Rizzo didn't see the pitcher, Rizzo should have just sprinted to first. But it's almost like he was you could see him almost like, what's going on here? Why isn't he there? He was just so expecting him to be there. He wasn't thinking. And this is I had my first year of Little League. I had the best baseball coach I've ever had. And, you know, I'm a young kid. We were all young kids, and he preached into us, think of what's going on. Think of the situation you're in. When you're in the outfield and there's a man on second, because I played outfield, when you're in the outfield and there's a man on second, there's a fly ball to you, you've got to think, or before pitches even throw, you've got to think in this situation, if a fly ball comes back to me, I've got to get it into third so he doesn't tag up. I can't, you have to play this out in your mind. Or if he gets a hit to left field, don't throw home, even though I think I can throw out everybody. I can't, you know. If it's a hit, there's a guy on second. Make sure you throw the ball into second to keep that player out of scoring position. He taught us to think, and I mean, this wasn't like in starting practice. I mean, every game he would tell us, yell from the bench, think about the play, think about what can happen, think. I've never seen a coach Little League like that, and it stuck with me. And that's how I played baseball all through high school, um, thinking about what's coming up. And I know Rizzo and Garrett Cole are at much higher levels than me, and they've been preached the same thing too. But at that moment, in such a big thing, I think the moment actually just got the best of them. And these are two people who have won big games. These are two people who have been in the big moments before, but it can get to anybody. It's the freaking World Series, and it got to them at that point, and they both brain cramped.
As bad as that was, and what happened in the big moment of the game, I will say this: the great thing about that particular play was the Dodgers were down 5-0, and Cole had a one hitter going through 5 innings into the fifth inning. But Mookie Betts hit a routine ball. Rizzo, a fantastic fielder, got Cole's pitching this great game, but Betts ran down there like his life was dependent on it. He booked down there hard as he could and made it as hard as it was for those two guys, and he beat it out. That particular play seemed to get the momentum switched over to the Dodgers, and then they came on like gangbusters. But I give Mookie Betts a superstar. He could have said, "Well, it's a ground out," and I've seen a lot of Cardinal players do that through the years. They just, all right, and they jogged down to first. No, he ran hard as he could down there, and I give him all the credit in the world. What a play! And Cole, except for that inning, pitched a heck of a World Series.
Yeah.
Um, he went 12 innings, one earned run because there was only one earned run because of that was on errors, four walks and 10 Ks. I mean, he pitched a heck of a World Series and was the ace the Yankees needed. Just the Dodgers were better. That was the only thing there.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say about Betts, um, I haven't seen a lot of him. Um, when he was at Boston, LA, I would see what the Cubs, but I've seen enough of him because he's been around for quite a while now. And I can probably guarantee you, if it's the third week of May and they are playing the White Sox, he's busting it down the line. That's the way he plays, and that's why he's an MVP. So
Fantastic. I think that guy, just in that series, I think we're going to see a lot of guys, Hall of Famers, guys that have shots at the Hall of Fame right there in that
yeah,
series.
yeah. So
Whew, what a series, man! What a way to end it, Vince. That was just icing on the cake for the season.
yeah. Now,
Yes.
now that the series is over, now that we've talked about what's going on with our teams and we've looked at some of the big players and what they're up to as far as transactions go, now the most important thing comes to the forefront. Now the climax to our podcast, we are going to open up baseball cards.
Upper
And
decks, Vince.
huh?
You got upper decks, don't you?
I have 1990, the collector's edition from Upper Deck in the nice foil package.
Ooh-wee. How about that? I like that. It's hypnotic.
What do you
Well,
got?
oh, Vince, I got something special. Tops every year here lately in the last few years have Series 1 that had Kuno on it this year. Series 2 had Aaron Judge, and it's the Tops 2024 update set, the update series. And this one has Yamamoto and the Cub pitcher on it. So it's got the two Japanese pitchers right there. And this set here has the players that were late signings for their teams or got traded during the year or came up during the year to a certain point. So you'll see guys that it's their first baseball card, in the big leagues. So that's pretty cool. So I'll be opening one of these packs.
All right. Well, that sounds like the best way to end the show because I'm just going to have the same thing that I always do, old cards, and I'm going to try to guess. I'm going to say one Hall of Famer.
Ooh, then I'm going to. I'll go to.
Okay. First, former All-Star outfielder for the Red Sox, had a great career, Ellis Burks.
Ooh, I liked him. Play with Rockies too. Great picture.
I like the
Those
back.
upper deck cards had great pictures.
Yeah, the back picture's really good too. They got him.
Oh yeah, there it
Yeah,
is.
just beautiful.
Yeah,
Uh,
very nice.
oh, one flap down. The most popular man in St. Louis, Jeffrey Leonard.
He said we were a cow town. Get out of here, Jeff Leonard.
Oh, what do I
Everybody brought those cowbells. They were ringing those cowbells.
got? Former outfielder for the Royals, Matt Winters. Not to be confused with Matt Wieters, who was the All-Star catcher for the Orioles, who played some with the Cardinals.
Yes, that's
Um,
right.
Not to be confused with local comedian Andrew Gaffigan, we have Andy McGaffigan for the Expos.
Nick
Pitcher.
Gaffigan. You can order that at McDonald's in a supersized meal.
Oh, and this is a guy who's really popular at buffets, former Cub, Louis Salad Bar. Bar. I used to call him Salad Bar, so because I'm weird. Okay.
He had a long career. He had kind of a long career
Yeah,
with several teams.
Padres, Cubs. I think he played. Gosh, who else did he play?
Pirates, maybe, maybe.
White Sox, Tigers. Yeah, he bounced around a bit.
Pass around. All right.
Oh, former Baltimore closer Jose Bautista.
Oh yeah, I like that picture. I like that warm up jacket.
Ah, a Hall of Famer. Come on, these cards are sticking together. For the Baltimore Orioles, shortstop Cal Ripken Jr.,
Oh yeah, Hall of Famer right there.
who now looks like William Frawley. Um, Former Cub, former Cardinal, still a little edge on Mason, one with the best arm I've ever seen at shortstop, Sean Dunston.
Love Sean Dunston. Great guy.
Got a hologram of the Atlanta Braves. Very good.
Oh yeah, I got the tomahawk there.
Outfielder for the Astros, also played for the Braves. Did he play for the Cardinals? Gerald Young? No, I'm thinking of Gerald Perry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if Gerald Young did, but
Gerald
yeah,
Perry
good.
did. Okay.
Gerald, yes, Gerald Perry. I'm positive on him.
Oh, former infielder for the Cubs and the Pirates, Curtis Wilkerson.
Okay, I couldn't tell you anything about him, but I remember the name.
Hall of Famer number two, former
Ooh,
Cardinal, former Expo. Who are we talking about?
Larry Walker.
Larry Walker.
Got a nice lead off there, old school.
Very good. Oh my gosh. Look at this. I got his clone.
Oh wow, how about that, Larry
Wow.
Walker? We're thinking of you.
Yeah. Wow. Two Larry Walkers. Um, for the White Sox, pitcher Eric King.
Okay, ball in mid-flight. I like
Eric
that.
King would lead them to a crown, but he didn't. Oh, former California Angels pitcher, left-hander, also pitched for the Brewers. Keith Hernandez got a huge hit in the 82 playoffs against him. Bob McClure.
Oh, okay.
And I dropped him. Those are my cards, two Hall of Famers. Well, actually three, because I had two Larry Walkers. So
Hey, 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 hey.
I'll take it.
Yeah, very good. Well, of course, these are current guys. The first card I'm going to show you is Brody brought a whole box of these Topps Chrome cards 2024. And I said, Brody, can I borrow that one to show Vince? And it's the Chrome, I can't say his name, Amagda, the pitcher for the Cubbies.
Imanaga. Yeah.
Imanaga. I have trouble with those names. It's his rookie card, and it's the Chrome card. That's pretty sharp. I like that a lot.
Very
So
nice.
I just wanted to bring that on and show you. And then this is the pack. Stars of the MLB. We have we mentioned him tonight, Anthony Rizzo.
Anthony
So
Rizzo.
Rizzo right there. Uh, a Cleveland Guardian, Cade Smith, and this is his rookie card. A
Very good.
reliever there. He's done very well.
Yes,
I
they
think
have.
the Guardians have one of the best bullpens. Uh, okay, Yankee third baseman John Bertie. I don't recall him. John Bertie.
Birdie. Yeah.
Bertie.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't tell you anything about him. Oh, here we go. Pitcher for the Reds. And the Reds have some good young pitchers. Vince, we're going to have to watch out for the Reds next year. This is Andrew Abbott, and he's on the all rookie team right there.
Very nice.
Very nice. Tyler Holton from the Tigers, wearing his City Connect uniform right there.
Oh, that's sharp.
Yes. The talk of the town this year. Very good. He went over to the Padres in mid-season. Dylan Cease
Oh,
right
yeah.
there in their City Connect uniform. A lot of City Connect uniforms on these tops updates. Texas Ranger, a guy who's been around a long time. I always liked him. Love to have him in our bullpen. David Robertson.
Yeah. Former Cub, too.
Oh, was he a Cub? See, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. How about that? Outstanding player. Okay, rookie card here for an LA Dodger. Do not know this man. Emmett Sheehan, right there.
There he
That's his
is.
first card. There he is. Oh, this is the guy we traded over to the Rangers. He went to the Diamondbacks this year. We got Segis for him. Jordan Montgomery.
Jordan, there he is.
There he is with the Diamondbacks. Gino Urshela from the Tigers,
Yeah.
third baseman. There he is in the classic Tiger uniform, glasses on the hat. Two guys we mentioned today, Brewers, and this is an old style card, Reese Hoskins, Brewers,
No,
right there.
cool.
He had a good first half. He kind of tailed off about the last 4 months. And a guy we both admire, we mentioned a lot on this show, San Diego Padre Fernando Tatis Jr. Right there,
There he is.
taking a swing. So that's it for my set right there. The top updates are out, and probably over the next few weeks, I'll be showing a lot of those packs.
Well, very good. Well, JJ, congratulations on the new contract.
Back
You're
where I belong.
you are being paid 15 times more than me. Um, my agent is not Scott Boros. My agent is my cat, Bing Bong.
Oh, Bing Bong.
Um, he just goes in there and keep telling him, don't go to negotiations and be such a pussy. But
You get paid in what is that? The stuff that the cats like to get all excited.
oh
Uh,
yeah, he's a good kitty. So
okay.
well, all right. Well, everybody, we will see you next week, and thank you for being with us.